All right, hello everybody. If you're just arriving, of course we have some, oops, let me just turn this on. Hello everybody, you're just arriving. Oh my gosh, last minute tech issues, always a thing. Let me just fix a couple things here really quick, and then we'll kick this off. Oh my gosh. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bestseller Summit Online. We are just getting ready to kick things off here. Of course, a mad scramble as we get ready for this summit to begin. So give me just 1 second. All right. All right, great. If you don't see something and you're in the chat, hit refresh. And let's see if we can get all this tech working, and then we'll actually start the opening keynote here. I'm excited. So give me just a moment. Okay, good. It looks like it is working. If you're just joining the page, if you're just arriving at this page, then you might need to hit refresh. We're doing some, last minute tech adjustments, et cetera, et cetera. So go ahead and hit refresh if you haven't already. And everybody, let me know that you can hear me. It looks like at least some people can hear me. So that's good. That's good. So let's get this started. So, welcome everybody to Bestseller Summit Online. Oh my gosh, it has been a wild couple of weeks ramping up for this summit. And truly, it's been a pretty wild couple of months preparing for this. For anybody here that has done a summit, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, let me just say at the front end that holy cow, it is a lot of work. I've brought together about 30 or so best-selling authors, book marketing experts, online entrepreneurs that are doing, six figures, $1 million plus a year, and even some in the tens of millions of dollars range, all of them sharing their wisdom, their knowledge, their expertise and experience with you free over the course of the summit. So I first would like to say, welcome. I'm really glad that you're here. I'm really excited to kick this off. And, this view, if you haven't been watching the pre-recorded interviews already, if you got an all access pass, then this view is going to become very familiar to you over the coming days and over the course of this week. So this is headquarters for Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press, which is my publishing company. And these are a selection of the books that we've published. And really that is sort of one of the underlying reasons why I'm putting together Bestseller Summit Online. As a publisher for the last 3+ years, really had the honor of working with, hundreds of authors, but publishing about 25 books in the last 2.5 years. And what I found is that, writing, publishing a book, promoting it, indeed making it a bestseller, but truly building a business and a brand is no small undertaking. And, it's also unique for everybody. And therefore, I decided, why not bring together dozens and dozens of perspectives from people that have gone through this process, the process that you yourself may be engaged in, and have them share, what worked, what doesn't work. And for those of them that have been in the game for years and years and have multiple books out, what's working now in 2017? Because I can tell you that technology is changing, reader preferences, how people consume book content is changing. And yet books are as old as the sky. I mean, thousands of years, truly. And in terms of print, hundreds of years. So, there's, on the one hand, there's this thing where there's nothing new under the sun, right? People have been writing and reading for years and years. And on the other hand, technology, the internet, the nature of publishing has been changing at a fairly rapid clip. So, over the course of this week, you're going to learn what's actually working now and hear it from dozens of people that I've had the pleasure of interviewing. So the style of the summit is very much like what you're witnessing now. You're going to see me looking at the camera with this background, and then pretty much every other video except for this, there's going to be somebody else that I'm interviewing and who's sharing. So in terms of the format, this is a good taste of things to come. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit of what you're going to learn on the summit. And then I have some thoughts I'm going to share on, my own perspective on what it means to go from being an author to an entrepreneur, this author to entrepreneur experience, as it were. So before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what we have planned and how the summit's all laid out. So you've got the opening keynote with me right now, of course, and then each day is arranged by a theme. So Monday is the big picture for your book and back-end offers. And today, Monday, you are going to hear from not only me, but Dave Chesson, who is the creator of KDP Rocket. He writes for Kindlepreneur, has many books in the market, very smart guy, very knowledgeable about Kindle marketing. You're gonna hear from Steve Scott, who actually had the #1 best-selling book on all of Amazon and has over 50 books in the market. You're gonna hear from Christine Closer, creator of the Transformational Author Experience. She really delivered big time in our interview. I mean, be sure to catch that one because she did so good and there's so much to share. And you're gonna hear from John Schumacher, the creator of Webinar Mastery Academy and truly a rising star in the online space. There's also gonna be a live panel where we really dive into the back end of your bestseller. So once you have a book and it's out, it's all, the real game is played in the back end, as it's called, the back end. And what that really refers to is, do you do coaching, speaking, live events, online training programs, masterminds, you name it. We're gonna dive into all the different ways you can monetize your book and actually make considerably more money than from book sales itself. So that's our live panel today. And every day this week at 3 p.m., there will be a live panel. You'll get all the links in a daily email. And it will be a similar format to this, where instead of just me, there'll be a whole group of people here and you can interact, ask us questions. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's look through the rest of the summit outline here. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is Book Launch Strategies Day. And tomorrow we have a keynote from Steve Olsher, New York Times bestselling author of What Is Your What? He's gonna break it down on how to actually become a New York Times bestselling author. I know we've had a lot of questions on that, and he has a lot to share. And then you're gonna hear from Austin Netzley, creator of the Six-Figure Author and also bestselling author in his own right. You're gonna hear from Debbie Drum on how to get tons and tons of Amazon reviews. She's the creator of Book Review Targeter, and she has a lot to share on how to get people reading and reviewing your book. And then you're gonna learn from Adam Franklin. He's the author of Web Marketing That Works, does a lot of speaking. He's from Australia, and he's got a lot of value to share. Tomorrow as well, you're gonna hear from Brett Gregory, who is our personal Facebook ads expert and also works with some of the top names in the online space, all about how to get more customers from Facebook, and specifically for authors on his presentation, talking about how to sell more books and do Facebook marketing for your book. And you definitely want to tune into that. You're also going to hear from Jesse Tevelo, good friend of mine, co-founder of Launch Team with Simon Bogdanovich, who I think is on this live panel here. He'll probably pop up in the comments in a second. Jesse Tevelo is going to break down, he's got a talk called Creating and Motivating Your Launch Team to Become a #1 Bestseller. So many of the books that you see behind me here, Simon and Jesse, we partnered up and they helped with the book launches. So we actually go in between the lines and behind the scenes for Real Passion Revolution, Drug of Choice, The Writer's Block Myth, Phoenix Projects, A Beautiful Evolution. These are all books that he has helped us launch. So tune into that talk. And then we've got a live panel tomorrow called Book Marketing Strategies, where you'll hear from Tom Morkus, my all-star joint venture partners manager and a best-selling author in his own right, Simon Bogdanovich, the other half of Launch Team, Jonathan Green, who's got, dozens of books out and is a real pro when it comes to book marketing, and Jennifer Blanchard. So that's tomorrow on Book Marketing Strategies. Tomorrow's theme is book launch strategies. So that's a preview of what's coming tomorrow. On Wednesday, the daily theme is thought leadership and content marketing. Right? So once you've written a book, or as you're writing a book, you've got to get the idea into your mind that it's not just a book, it's your thought leadership. And if you're writing fiction, then it's stories, character development, engaging with your readership. But really, thought leadership and content marketing is all the ways you can use your book to reach, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world, and all the different ways you can use the content in your book for marketing purposes, expanding your audience, and all that good stuff. So to that effect, we will hear from Devin Slavin, who's the creator of Online Course Creators Bootcamp, really a pro at creating online courses, which is a great way to leverage your thought leadership and engage in some really high quality content marketing. You're gonna hear from Cody Lister, who is one of the top paid traffic experts online today. Paid traffic meaning paid advertisements, ways to drive traffic either to your book, to other offers, and general online marketing. He's gonna break down some really detailed, juicy stuff on advanced paid traffic strategies for authors and entrepreneurs. You're also gonna hear from Darren Adams, who works with Infusionsoft. And if you're not familiar with Infusionsoft, it's sort of the guts that powers a lot of online businesses. I use Infusionsoft. The emails that you're getting from me as part of this summit are all delivered via Infusionsoft. And he's gonna talk about marketing automation to scale your business. So tune into that one on Wednesday. And then we've also got Naveed Moassis, longtime friend. I'm very blessed to have a lot of my good friends joining this summit and sharing with you all. Naveed has become a literal online superstar with his virtual summit mastery. He's the man behind a lot of virtual summits. Last year, when I ran the Book Business and Brand Building Summit, he was my partner. And this year he advised throughout the process of setting this all up. But he's gonna show you how you can run an online summit like this. And we really go deep into what works, what doesn't, and how you can avoid a lot of the costly and time-consuming pitfalls that can be part of putting together a huge online event like this. So tune into that. And then we've got Bradley Sugars, creator of Action Coach. They are a coaching company with branches in 50 plus countries. He's got over 10 books out, super high-powered guy, and really great on the coaching side. Really talking about the franchise model, how you could turn your business or a coaching practice into something that can actually have a global reach and impact. And you're gonna hear from Jay Fizzette, who's one of the people that, it's one of the last interviews I conducted for this summit. I was very fortunate to get him. He's the creator of Mastermind to Millions. He runs live events. I've been to him. There's hundreds of people. He's so smart, so glad to have him on the summit. And you definitely don't want to miss his talk on Wednesday, all about how to create a mastermind, how to engage people in a long-term relationship around your ideas, around your thought leadership, and do it right and get paid well for it. You're also going to hear from Joel Friedlander, a true legend in the publishing space, decades of experience. We're going to be talking about publishing trends in 2017 and beyond. And then on Wednesday, we have a panel called Content Marketing and Publishing. And we're going to have Cody Lister join us, Jason Van Orden, the creator of Internet Business Mastery Podcast, Naveed Moassis, and even Austin Fable from Science of Success podcast joining us on Wednesday's live panel. Again, all of these are at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday, the daily theme is your path to publishing success, traditional, self-publishing, or hybrid. So if you're working on a book, or even if you've already written a book, a big part of your thought process is probably revolving around, how do I bring it to market? What are my publishing options? Thursday is the day where I sort of peel back the curtains and show you all the different options. What does it look like to self-publish? What does it look like to go after a traditional publishing deal? And what's this middle ground, which is what I call hybrid publishing, which is what Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press is. Just sort of a combination of the two that includes distribution and author services and support. So on Thursday, we're going to dive into your path to publishing success. And we've got Guy Vincent, the CEO of Publishizer, which is a book pre-launch platform, sort of like Kickstarter in a sense. He describes it as Kickstarter meets Tinder for books. I think that's probably pretty accurate, but it's a place where you can put your book up and run a pre-launch campaign and get pre-sales for not only your book, but for other programs, courses, experiences, etc. So I'll actually be linking up some of the pre-launch campaigns that we've run for books that you see behind me and others as well. And we've got Guy Vincent, the creator of Publishizer, coming on. On Thursday, you're also going to hear from David Hancock, the founder of Morgan James Publishing, actually the publisher of my book, Lifestyle Entrepreneur, and really my publishing mentor, who's got a catalog of over 2,000 books in about 15 years. And he is just a swell guy who's going to share everything you need to know about publishing. And then we've also got Alinka Rutkowska, and she has a talk called How I Sold 80,000 Books, and you can too. So she's going to talk about how she built her children's book sort of empire, as it were, and gets to travel the world, write books, and sell them in creative ways. So she took she's got all sorts of publishing experience, so she'll share that. And then also on Thursday, we've got J.V. Crum III talking about building Conscious Millionaire to a 7-figure book, business, and brand. J.V. is the author of Conscious Millionaire and also the creator of the Conscious Millionaire podcast, which has over 1,000 episodes. And he does a lot of great, interesting stuff in the coaching space. A lot of good tips for authors out there on how to leverage your book to be your best business development tool. We've also got Carrie Oberbrunner with a talk called Make 6 Figures as a Fiction Author. So all the fiction authors out there, you're definitely going to want to tune into this one because Carrie's figured out how to actually make a lot of money as a fiction author. And I wanted to be sure to represent fiction on this summit because, Bestseller Summit online is not just about nonfiction, it's about all books. So then on Thursday, we also have a live panel called Choosing the Right Publishing and Promotional Path. And on this panel, we'll be joined by Derek Murphy, Derek Depker, and Kevin Johns, all three fairly prolific in the author space, do a lot of work with authors, have a lot of books out, and we're really going to dive into how do you choose the right publishing and promotional path for you. And then on Friday, the theme is build your audience and expand your reach. And we've got a talk from Jonathan Green called 8 Ways to Multiply Your Author Income. Jonathan was a favorite on the summit last year. And I got to tell you, he really brought it this year as well. Great tips on how to write, how to research your market, how to market your books, and ultimately how to build a book-based business. He himself lives on a tropical island in Southeast Asia. So we piped him in from the Philippines to share all of his knowledge on Friday. We're also going to hear from Josh Turner. And this is an interview I'm especially excited about. Josh Turner has the book Booked, and he's sold tens of thousands of copies. He also runs Linked Selling, which is a LinkedIn marketing agency. He also has a general lead generation agency, and his business is doing big numbers, into the 8 figures. So he's going to share how to use a book as part of a product launch, and it's a very important talk and topic. So tune into that. We've also got Amanda, A.K. Turner, talking about traveling the world, writing books for a living. Who doesn't want to do that? And she would know, since she basically travels the world full-time writing books. So tune in for that. We've got Jason Troy with a talk called How to Be a Powerful Coach and Build Social Wealth. He's the author of Social Wealth and really brought some good conversation to the summit on coaching and using a book to build a business and brand. Last but definitely not least, we've got Buck Flogging, the man, the myth, the legend behind Buck Books, Quit in 6, Digital Freedom Academy, probably our biggest promotional partner for this summit. I've partnered with Buck Books as their first featured publisher with Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press. Buck Books basically is a daily email that promotes books that are priced at $1. So you definitely want to get your book included in BuckBook's email blasts when you're launching. It's something we do for all of our books, and Buck Flogging is going to talk about that, plus much more. He is a real legend in the online business space and a super nice guy. And then on Friday, for the big closing party, we've got the Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press Author Hangout. I'm inviting on many of the authors that you see represented up here, many more. If I were to angle the camera over there, you see there's so many more books. And we're just going to have everybody come on and hang out and talk about their experience writing and publishing. And we're just going to have a roundtable discussion, make it fun and interactive. So that's our big closing party on Friday. So there you have it. That is an overview of what you're going to learn and what you're going to experience over the course of this summit. And holy cow, let's see what people are saying on the chat here. I hope you guys can hear me, and I think you can. So if you are just tuning in for whatever reason, go ahead and hit refresh. Don't worry, this will be recorded. This is being recorded. It'll all be shared. So you're not going to miss a thing. And so let me introduce myself a little bit now that you've gotten an idea for what you're going to learn over the course of Bestseller Summit Online. And just by the way, holy cow, thanks so much for being here. Over the last couple of weeks, it's been a true whirlwind. Thousands and thousands of people. I think we're close to 7,000 people now have registered for this summit. And I'm just so happy to have you. It's really, you know, even though it's a lot of work to put these together, it's also a lot of fun and a really just a great opportunity to gather together authors like yourself from all around the world and really just have this, this moment in time, this week, to share what's working, showcase a lot of the top authors that are, you know, working today, as well as the online entrepreneurs and bookmarking experts. So, you know, really, from my perspective, we've been just plowing ahead here for a couple of weeks, and it's sort of a crescendo from the weeks and months of preparation that go into a summit. As for me, if you don't already know me, then here's a little quick background. You know, I'm the author of Lifestyle Entrepreneur, which you can see behind my head here. And really that is a book that sums up my 10 plus years at that point of entrepreneurial experience. You know, I'm somebody that's never actually started down the traditional path in life. From a young age, I was doing music and had a rock band and was playing guitar. And my very first business was a record label. And went on to have a number of different businesses in a variety of industries that also, as it turns out, included traveling the world, learning different languages and cultures, and ultimately, as the super short summation of my background, when I was getting close to turning 30, you know, people would ask me, how do you do what you do? How do you run your business like this? You know, I had a virtual team of people around the world, and we had an online business that basically allowed me to travel quite a lot and also make pretty decent money. So, you know, I decided to actually put down my strategies in a book. That was the beginning of my author journey. And I can tell you that it was quite an experience. Writing a book is a cathartic experience. In my case, it was dredging up all of the key learning lessons, all of the trials and tribulations, all of the strategies and takeaways from 10 years or so of operational experience. And for many of you, it's probably a similar situation when you're writing your book, right? It's a process to go back through your background, your history, to identify what are the lessons really worth sharing. Or if it's fiction, I can't speak to that as much, but I can tell you that the character development and the writing process follows a similar trajectory in terms of the writing itself as a nonfiction book does. And, you know, for those of you that have nonfiction books, I can tell you that, you know, it was one of the best decisions I ever made to write the book, but it wasn't a straight line. I mean, I started writing here and there, then I'd write when I was inspired, or I'd write when I was traveling. And it took me 7 or 8 months to get what turned into the first manuscript, which at that time wasn't even called Lifestyle Entrepreneur. It was called The Entrepreneur's Guidebook. And it was very narrowly focused on how to start an online business that basically involved, promotional products and things that were manufactured in China and then fulfilled to customers all over the world. So I'm telling you that to show that when I started, the vision wasn't as wide as it is today for Lifestyle Entrepreneur. It was just basically documenting my process on how I started an online business, built it up to $500,000 in sales in the first year in operations while traveling the world and having a distributed global team. I wanted to share how other people could do that. And so once I wrote that, I put it out as an ebook, and it was a pretty tepid response, right? So version 1.0 of what became Lifestyle Entrepreneur was actually an ebook called The Entrepreneur's Guidebook. And I don't even think it's available online anymore, but who knows? If you do some research, you might still be able to find it. So what happened was I had a friend in Singapore. I was spending a lot of time in Asia. I was studying Mandarin Chinese. My business operated out of there. I told him about the book, and he had written a book. And then he offered to introduce me to his publisher, which is based out of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, called Kanyan Publications. And, we met. I showed them the manuscript. They were interested, but they said it's too narrow. We went ahead and talked, and I flew to Kuala Lumpur. And once we got to know each other, they said, well, you've done a lot of interesting things in your life. Why are you writing about this very narrow topic? Why don't you include your broader philosophy, some stories, some case studies of other people that have a similar approach to business and life? And I thought about it, and that's exactly what I did. So I went back to the drawing board, started rewriting, focusing now on, the bigger picture of what it means to be a lifestyle entrepreneur instead of the narrow picture of how to start a specific type of business. And in the process, I also actually interviewed some of my good friends who had similar types of business, and they're featured in the book. And when it was all said and done, version 2.0 became the first edition of Lifestyle Entrepreneur, titled Lifestyle Entrepreneur, which was originally released in Malaysia in paperback. It was not an Amazon release. It was not even in digital. This is a print book available in Southeast Asia only. And that was my beginning as an author, which ultimately led to publishing, as I'm going to share. And that kicked off a pretty wild year and a half. I was going over to Malaysia 3-4 times a year, Singapore, Southeast Asia, doing book tours, speaking at book fairs, shaking hands, kissing babies, you name it. Almost felt like a politician. But selling books is a little bit like that in a sense. All right, bad joke. But truth be told, it was very inspiring to meet people who were discovering my book and excited to read it, as well as people that had already read my book and now were meeting me or coming to see a talk. And it's a very rewarding experience. So for everybody there that's still working on your book and haven't gotten it out yet, I want you to keep in mind that you can't predict what other people will experience when they read your words, when they read your story, if you share something vulnerable, your story of struggle or overcoming difficult circumstances. This is what builds a connection with readers. And when you experience it firsthand, when people are reaching out to you, or if you meet people in person that have read your book and been impacted by it in some way, it's powerful. And so I started to get that experience, and over the course of going to Malaysia many times, Singapore, the whole bit, ended up having the #2 business bestseller in that part of the world. And I knew that, ultimately I wanted to have this book out in America and in the rest of the world, being American and all that good stuff. So, I took the momentum from having the book come out in Asia and started going to book events and so forth in the US. And ultimately, I went to a conference called I think it was Author 101 University. I don't even know if they still run it anymore, but I knew that Morgan James, the publishing company, was going to be there and that they sponsored it. And that's who I wanted to publish my book. Fast forward, as you just heard, David Hancock, the founder of Morgan James, is on this summit. But back then, we were just getting to know each other. So I went to this conference. I had a stack of my book, Lifestyle Entrepreneur, the Asian edition, with me. And this was my game plan. So I went around and first I found the senior acquisitions editor for Morgan James, a nice man named Terry Whalen. And I said, hey, here's my book. It's out in Asia. It became a bestseller. And I think Morgan James would be the perfect publishing company for this book. He looks at it, flips it over, says, this is the exact kind of book that we like to publish. I said, great, let's talk. We went through the conference, and then I found the publisher. The publisher for Morgan James, a man named Rick Frischman. And just in case you are not familiar, the publisher is actually a role within a publishing company. And anyhow, so I found the publisher, Rick. I pulled him aside and I said, hey, here's my book. It's out in Asia. It became a bestseller. And I think Morgan James would be the perfect publishing company to bring it to America. Looks at it, flips it over. Says, yeah, it seems like the kind of book we'd like to publish. I said, okay, good, that's two. So then I went around and I found David, the founder and president of Morgan James. And I got a moment of his time and I said, hey, here's my book. It came out in Asia. It's a bestseller. And I think Morgan James would be the perfect publishing company to bring it to the US. He looks at it, flips it over, just like the other two, says, this is just the kind of book that we like to publish. So then I got David, and I got Rick, and I got Terry, and I brought them all together. And I said, so I've talked to each of you independently here, and you each independently said that this is the exact kind of book that you'd like to publish. Why don't you? And I just let that sit for a second. They looked at each other. And within a couple of weeks, I had my second publishing deal in as many years with Morgan James. And while that was exciting to get that deal, it also was the precursor for doing another round of rewrites and revisions. So ultimately, the book that you see here, the book that most people have now read, is a function of doing 2 to 3 different rounds of rewrites and revisions. All that is to say, the history of a book, the chronology of creating a book, getting it into its best final form and actually releasing it, it's not an overnight process. Sometimes it's a process that takes months, sometimes years. Maybe some of you are here watching this and you've spent years knowing that you should write a book, trying to write a book, not exactly getting it done. All I can say is I feel you and it's worth it. So continue on. And when I did complete those revisions and released Lifestyle Entrepreneur, the US edition, which is now available all around the world. At first, to be totally honest, when it came out, I was expecting them to do all this marketing, all this promotion, and it just wasn't the case. And at first, I was like, why aren't the books selling? What's going on here? And it was a little embarrassing because here I was, I toured all over Southeast Asia as an author, became a best-selling author, had a lot of support from my publisher there. Also realizing I was sort of a big fish in a smaller pond, as it were, being a foreign author, an American author that speaks Chinese and whatever, they put a lot of marketing behind it. But now I was one book amongst many, many more on Morgan James. And as I came to realize, as great of a company, I love Morgan James and everything they do, but as an author, I realized, it's entirely my responsibility at all times to be marketing and promoting my book. As an author, it's pretty much entirely your responsibility at all times to be marketing and promoting your book. And once I got that, then things started to really happen. I put together a summit, not unlike what you see here, except on a much smaller scale, admittedly, in 2014. And I said, all right, I'm going to put together a summit of lifestyle entrepreneurs. And I called it the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Summit. Brought together a dozen or so people and interviewed them on what it means to be a lifestyle entrepreneur, myself delivered a keynote on what it means to be a lifestyle entrepreneur, started to build some community, build some buzz around both the term and for my book. And in the process, started to sell more books. Then I really hunkered down and I said, I'm going to figure out book marketing. And a lot of what you're going to see over the course of this week and a lot of what we do at Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press is a result of really going heads down for a while and figuring out what does it actually take to do good book marketing, to do book launches, and more so to create great books. Not just good looking covers, which I'm very proud of all the book covers for the books that we've published, but what's inside. And what I can say is that it's a subjective process, creating a book, doing book marketing, finding the mix that works. It's individual, it's personal, and there's not really a one-size-fits-all strategy, although there are a lot of strategies that most authors can employ, but the unique mix and the approach that you take is something that's going to be personal to you. And so, as I started to market Lifestyle Entrepreneur more and do more online promotions and do more general promotions, an interesting thing started to happen. In the introduction and conclusion of my book, I put my personal email in there, which you all know now, jesse@jessekrieger.com. And I said, look, if you read this book and you learned something, go ahead and write me and let me know. And I'm so glad that I put that in, because as I started to market the book, I'd start to get letters from people I've never met in places I've never been. Some of them very long letters saying, I found your book and I was unhappy with my life and my work, and now I've made these changes. And they would outline this whole sequence of steps that they took to become more of a lifestyle entrepreneur. And then at some point decided, hey, I'm going to write the author of the book since he invited us to do so. And I know that for all of the letters that I have received, and I save them because they're so special, that there's probably 10 times that many, that didn't write, if that came out right. In other words, for all of the things that I have heard directly from people that read Lifestyle Entrepreneur, there's so many more that I know have gotten the book, read it, and hopefully had a great experience and learned something that never actually reached out and shared it with me. So this brings up an interesting point for you as an author. And I guess there's twofold. One is to have a hook within your book, an invitation, as it were, for people to get in touch with you and tell you what they learned, to join your community, to simply send you an email. Or if you offer things like coaching or training, live events, you name it, making specific mention in the book of the other ways that people can engage with you, learn from you. And that's what I did. And I started to get these emails and people started to reach out. And then I started to run an online training course, basically just diving into the content of Lifestyle Entrepreneur and presenting it as training material, how to, very tactical. And that was called Business in a Weekend. I started to help people achieve the same goals that I wrote about in the book, right? I started to build a book-based business and brand. In other words, the ideas in the book became elaborated into coaching clients where I help them launch lifestyle entrepreneur businesses, online training programs like Business in a Weekend, where I take people through an entire curriculum on how to launch an online business, basically everything I wrote about in the book, and so forth and so on. So one of the key things I want you to take away, and really the theme of today on Bestseller Summit Online, is all about the back end for your book. So the big picture, right? And that's what we're talking about here. The big picture, impacting lives, building a business, helping people achieve success or have a great reading experience, building a community around your ideas, and ultimately a thriving business and brand. And as that went on, so now a year and a half or so after Lifestyle Entrepreneur came out in the US, that was sort of the promotional life cycle, the real juice that I got from releasing the book played out over the the 12 to 18 months. And as it turns out, that's now what I advise our authors to do, is to focus on, a year or so of promotions. It doesn't have to be 10 hours a day every day, but having a consistent game plan for a year or so after the book comes out that fully elaborates its potential, reaches the most number of readers, and impacts the most number of lives. And in the course of that, building that business, doing online training programs, having coaching clients, I started to make pretty good money. And I built a 6-figure business based off of the ideas and the principles in Lifestyle Entrepreneur. And then I started to realize, well, I've always loved books. And even though I've done a lot of things professionally in life as an entrepreneur, books, knowledge has always been a mainstay. So I thought, well, what if there is a business opportunity here? Put my entrepreneur's hat back on and decided to try working with an author or two to bring a book to market. And the very first one was an author that actually wasn't an author at the time, but an entrepreneur that I wrote about in my book, Lifestyle Entrepreneur, a guy named Jasper Rivers, who you may now know as the author, co-author of Get Paid for Your Pad. So the very first book that I ever published, I actually did without making any big announcement or any fanfare that I was starting doing publishing work. Instead, decided to take the things that I learned from marketing Lifestyle Entrepreneur and try and put them into practice with another author and for another book. So, Jasper and his co-author, Huzaifa, wrote the book. It's all about Airbnb hosting. So basically, Jasper has had an apartment in Amsterdam and was renting it out and traveling the world for 10 months of the year, making very good money. Hence the premise for Get Paid for Your Pad. So we put that together and we did all the different marketing and all the different strategies that I had done for Lifestyle Entrepreneur that were successful. And the book did very well. On its launch, it became the #1 travel book on Amazon, #1 real estate investing book, moved thousands of copies. And now it's got, I think they even have more reviews than my own book. But what I realized, and I'm very fortunate in a sense, that the first book that I published was very successful. Otherwise, if it wasn't, maybe I would have done something else and I wouldn't have built Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press, and you wouldn't be seeing me here delivering the opening keynote for Bestseller Summit Online. So once you did that, I tried it with another book and then another. And then I realized, all right, maybe there's something here. And that was when I started to actually put my flag in the ground and declare that I was building Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press to be a publishing company for the ages. And our focus now, if you fast forward 3 years, we've published, upwards of 25 books. I've got another 10 or so in production, and it's just growing like gangbusters. So, I'm very, very pleased, and I feel very blessed to get to work with inspiring authors that whether it's fiction or nonfiction, whether they're building a business or writing, a trilogy or a fiction series. I love working with authors because they're some of the most interesting people in the world. You watching this as an author are one of the most interesting people in the world. And I want you to really hear that and feel it because it's true. And even if you don't believe me 100% right now, you will if you complete your book, release it, and start to hear from others that your book has made a difference in their lives. So at the end of the day, with Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press, we're in the business of improving people's lives through knowledge and all that entails. So through even the books that you see here, Real Passion Revolution, The Phoenix Projects, Writer's Block Myth, The Beautiful Evolution, Mind Lift, Get Paid for Your Pad, Drug of Choice, Nothing to Lose, Powerful Words. Each of these, I could think of a handful of stories where I've heard from people that read the book and said, wow, it made such an impact in my life. So that's the power of a book, right? And I know in a sense I'm preaching to the choir here, but in case you ever lose perspective, in case you're ever, by yourself writing, getting frustrated, maybe not even writing and getting frustrated, reconnect with what's on the other side. Once you complete that book and get it out and actually put some promotion behind it, you can't predict what impact your words are going to have. And you can't predict or know where somebody's at in their life when they find your book and read it. And it could become a pivotal moment in their lives, right? So really hear that, because I think a lot of authors get stuck asking the wrong question. And it's what I call the waiting game. And if you think of an acronym, WAIT, who am I to? Who am I to write a book? Who am I to put myself out there as an expert? Who am I to take a stand on a topic? These are some of the questions that I know loop in authors' minds, and it's the wrong question. And it's the wrong question because, to be totally honest, it's self-centered. You're asking yourself whether or not you're worthy of putting yourself out there, and it's all me, me, me. The better question is, who can this help? Who can this serve? Who can this inspire? Who can this book touch? Who can this reach and make a difference? And when you start to put the focus outside of yourself, when you put the focus on other people, all of a sudden things become a lot easier. And you get more perspective, and you don't loop in your own mind in what can become, a very isolating experience if you're just questioning your own self-worth and your ability to write. Instead, putting the focus on who can I help, who can I serve, who is this book going to inspire, that becomes much more interesting. And it can reconnect you with the outcome that waits for you when you do put in the work and you do create that book and you make sure that it's good. And then you actually put some effort into getting it out to the world. When I say getting out to the world, you're going to hear a lot about book marketing and promotion. And, my perspective on that is pretty developed at this point, but I would say simply that, you want to pick a promotional channel that suits your personality type. For me, I'm all about video. I like interviews. I'm not really somebody that likes to, prepare and script things out, word for word. So for me, I pursued podcasts. I pursued virtual summits. That was really the way that I promoted my book, and it's in line with my personality. But maybe you're different. Maybe you like to write a lot. Maybe you're introverted. Well, then you could pursue a guest blogging strategy. You could develop your own blog. You could write guest articles. You could have a very writing-centric approach to marketing your book, one that really doesn't require such live interaction and public speaking type of promotional strategies. And maybe that works for you, right? Or if you have a book that's more image-centric, say you've got a book on health and fitness or cooking, something like this, maybe it's more image-centric, you could really pursue a channel of marketing through Pinterest, through Instagram, through image-based marketing channels and promotional strategies. And video, maybe you have video skills, maybe you like being on camera, maybe you like interviewing other people and doing it in a video format, then you could take that path, building a YouTube channel, doing virtual summits, things like this. The whole point being that, throughout this summit, I just want you to keep in mind that you really only need to pick one or two promotional strategies and then go deep on them, right? So for me, for my approach to marketing lifestyle entrepreneur, I knew I wanted to do podcasts and virtual summits. So how do you start? Well, let's use that as an example, right? There's an entire ecosystem of podcasts on online business, on lifestyle design, on travel and so forth. Get to know the people that are, I would call them gatekeepers, but the hosts, the people that have audiences in your space, talking about your topic, talking about your industry, the things that you're writing about, and identify, who are the top 50 people or what are 50 shows that you'd want to be on, right? So I started to reach out, send people a copy of my book, little information on me, my background, and said, hey, I think I'd be a great guest for your show. Got a few bites, and I just stack that forward. Once I would complete an interview with somebody on a podcast, once you hit stop on the interview, you usually chat a little bit with the host, and I'd say, hey, if you liked our interview, what are a couple shows that you think I'd be a great guest for? And I'd have them introduce me to the hosts, or sometimes they would simply offer to introduce me to the hosts, and then it snowballs. So out of each interview, I'd get 1 or 2 warm introductions from the host of a show that I was just on, saying, hey, host of this other show, Jesse would be a great guest. I just interviewed him. It was great, and I think your audience would love him as well. Right? So stacking it forward, and then it snowballs. Before you know it, months later, I was on Entrepreneur on Fire, The Art of Charm, some of the biggest podcasts, at least in my space, and all of that really helped on the book marketing side of things. So for you, if it's blogging, guest articles, image-centric, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, anywhere where there is promotion taking place, there is a well-developed ecosystem of people and shows and channels and outlets that can feature you as well, right? Content is king, or queen. Authors are content creators, and people that host podcasts or summits or blogs or anything, everybody's looking for great content. So if you put in the effort to write a great book, you're naturally a great guest for media. And that's the other pillar of author success. As you looked through bestsellersummitonline.com, you probably saw me talk about the 3 pillars of author success: your book, your business, and your brand, right? So now we're talking about your brand, and your brand is built through getting in front of different audiences in a way that leverages your own personality, and you've just got to do it, right? You don't have to do what I'm doing, but you do have to promote your book and get in front of new potential readers, ideally in a way that suits you. And when you get that mix right, it's not a stressful thing. It's very fun. It's enjoyable. I love being on podcasts. I love being a guest on shows. It's one of the most fun things that I do. But, again, you don't have to do what I'm doing, but you do have to promote your book. And as you do, you start to build a name, you start to build recognition, you start to build momentum. And then ultimately the 3 pillars start to tie together, right? You've got your book, your business, and your brand. If your book provides value and a way for people to get in touch with you directly and to learn about the other things that you're doing, the other ways that they can engage with you and work with you, hire you, you name it, then your book plays into your business. And your book plays into your brand when you reach out to people that have audiences and offer to share your perspective, offer to be a guest, offer to do an interview, offer to write an article. And then you start to build name recognition. Those media appearances point back to your book, and you can usually give a shout out to what you're doing on the business side of things. And then it all starts to spiral. And as it does, it's very enjoyable. It's very rewarding. So I just want to tell you that if you're at the starting line, or if you haven't gotten there yet, that it gets more fun after your book is done. And it becomes a lot more fun as your book's out there and you're getting feedback and you're having opportunities and your business is growing and you're making money and changing lives, or at least inspiring readers. And that's all what it's really all about. So, fast forward to today, over the last 3 years, really, this is kind of a 3-year anniversary for Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press, as it were. I started this in April 2014. That was when I was talking with Jasper and we were working on Get Paid for Your Pad months before it even came out. And now 3 short years later, a lot's happened in those 3 years, but 3 short years later, and we've published dozens of books, have a lot more coming. Recently signed a distribution deal. So now all of our authors that we work with are distributed in stores across the country and around the world. And quite frankly, the next year is going to be one of continued rapid growth, knock on wood. But things are going, things are growing. We've got momentum, and this summit is a great opportunity for me to showcase, a lot of the people that I've met on this journey over the past few years. A lot of people that have supported me as an author, that have supported us as a publishing company, and that have supported our authors, to introduce them to you, to share them with you. Of course, this is all free for this week. So, enjoy it. Go wild. I'm going to be interacting and participating with you, and I'll be in the Facebook group. I can't promise I'll be on my email all the time, because I am getting hundreds of emails a day right now, and it's kind of a lot. Fortunately, I've got a good team, but through the Facebook group and through the live panels, you've got a lot of access to me, a lot of opportunities to interact, and I'm looking forward to that. So let me share one or two more things with you on this opening keynote, and then I'll turn you free to watch all the other videos for today and tune in to our live panel at 3 p.m. So if you're watching this and you haven't gotten an all access pass, I encourage you to check that out. bestsellersummitonline.com/order. I've put together not only 30 plus interviews and all of the great training and dozens of hours of content, but also over $2,000 of bonuses, which is all available to you throughout the summit at a price of only $97. And for those of you that may be looking for something even more comprehensive support, I also want to share something else that I'm rolling out over the course of the summit that I'm excited to offer, called the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. And this is a training program that I'll be teaching live online, similar to this, sometimes with slides, sometimes with screen share, always with me live, very interactive, for 8 weeks, starting in the middle of June. So a couple weeks after the summit wraps up, I go to Book Expo in New York, showcase all of our authors, try and make some more great connections in the publishing space, and then kick off the Author to Entrepreneur Experience, teaching that live online over 8 weeks. Let me tell you a little bit about it to see if it's something that you want to be a part of. So the Author to Entrepreneur Experience is for aspiring authors, for authors that already have a book out and that really want to build a thriving business and brand. I'm going to share everything in a great level of detail that we've done over the last 3 years at Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press. I'm going to bring in some guest experts for topical trainings. I mean, I can tell you in an hour and a half here on the keynote, the high level stuff, but to really go into granular detail and to make it specific to you, that's the point of the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. So for 8 weeks, we will join together every Wednesday, live online. Of course, it's all recorded and all that good stuff, but we'll be going over these 8 teaching points, right? So in week 1, it's all about completing a book you'll be proud of for years to come, and talk about how to create great content, how to structure your book for success, how to include the call outs to your book so that people are reaching out to you and writing, so that you're featuring what you're working on in your business, and that your book becomes your best business development tool, really creating a great book. That's the focus of week 1. And also talking about content creation strategies. So whether it's writing or doing interviews that are transcribed and edited, one way or another, there are ways to create content for your book that are in line with your personality and your style. That's what we'll be covering on week 1. Week 2, cover design and interior layout mastery. As you can see here, if you like these book covers, hey, so do I. And so do a lot of readers. And it's important to have a good looking book cover so that people actually pick up your book or click on it and start to read everything that's inside. So we talk about the concepts that underpin great book cover design and the layout, right? If you look at, let's grab one of these, for example, if you look inside of any of our books, let me give you an example here. Something like this, where you've got images and layout. All of these are decisions that are made, and a lot of people don't focus on the interior layout aspect of their book, which is really saying, how do you make it very readable? How do you make it a compelling reading experience? So cover design and interior layout mastery is what we're going to cover on week 2 of the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. Week 3, building your launch team to pre-launch your book like a boss. So if your book's already done, or as soon as it is, this is the time when we start looking at bringing together a launch team, setting up everything to execute a great book launch, become a #1 bestseller, and starting to put all those pieces into place. That's in week 3. I'll be showcasing a lot of the book launch strategies that we've used, the actual strategies and the campaigns. So you can actually see those, and then you can model them for yourself. Plus you've got templates, exercises, all that good stuff to really make this actionable. Then in week 4, we talk about establishing your online presence and building your influence and authority, right? So whether it's hosting a summit, being a guest on other shows, being a contributor to articles, blogs, publications, whatever it is, how to start establishing your online presence and building your authority so that you become in demand. I'm going to talk about that. Week 5 and 6 is all about the launch, right? So I called week 5 here, book launch, the 2 words that will change your life. And it's true. A lot of authors look at their book launch as the end of the road. And true, it is the end of a pretty epic journey of writing and creating a book. It's also the beginning of that book's life in the market. Meaning, once your book is launched, that's when the real game begins, in a sense. But we're going to talk about how to launch your book right, definitely become an Amazon bestseller, shoot even higher if you want to become USA Today bestseller, Wall Street Journal bestseller, New York Times bestseller, and show all of those strategies that you can put into place for your book, and how to engage promotional partners and run contests and make your book launch an event, right? And you can model some of this stuff just from what you're seeing on the summit, right? There was 2 weeks before the beginning of the summit where we were doing promotions, giving away the book sales page template, giving away bestseller blueprint, and now the actual summit, right? So you want to give your book launch a sense of occasion. You want to make it an event and not just, hey, my book's out, go get a copy, but giving people ways to benefit from it, profit from it, promote it, and make money, contests where people can win cool things. All of this drives book sales. And so we're going to cover that in great depth in weeks 5 and 6. Then weeks 7 and 8 is really a deep dive into the back end, which is of course what we're covering today on Monday here on the summit. But in the Author to Entrepreneur Experience, we're going to spend 2 whole weeks going deep into how do you structure online training programs? How do you coach? How do you use your book as a business development tool and really build a business that's integrated? And it's a rich topic, I can tell you. So we're going to go into a lot of detail on that. And basically, I'm going to help everybody that's in the Author to Entrepreneur Experience get personal attention, get personal strategies for your specific book, your business, your brand. And maybe if anything, it's the difference between attending a summit like this and learning everything you can and watching the interviews, interacting, versus getting one-on-one focused attention and support from me, from a publisher and a best-selling author on your book, on your business, on your brand, right? So that's what we'll be doing in weeks 7 and 8 in the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. So if you're game, go click over to or go to the authortoentrepreneurexperience.com. You can read everything we've put together there. Throwing in a couple amazing bonuses too. Free ticket to Bestseller Summit Live. That's my annual live event. It's October 27th to 29th in Los Angeles. It's going to be a ton of fun. Expecting a big turnout this year. Last year was super high impact. Lives were changed. So I want to invite you to come live, meet me, hang out. It's a 3-day event. It's comprehensive and very fun. You'll even meet some of the speakers from the summit in person. So that's a bonus. If You're also going to get a bonus called Paid Traffic Masterclass with Cody Lister. We're going to talk about how to set up marketing campaigns, how to set up online advertisements that drive sales of your book, but also your specific back-end offers. And that's going to be a pretty valuable masterclass for you. Also, Promotional Partners Masterclass, a third bonus with my man, Tom Morcus, my promotional partner manager, the man who's brought over 50 people, promotional partners together to present this summit. I mean, this is not by any stretch just me, right? We've got a whole team, and even more so, we've got dozens and dozens of promotional partners sharing this summit with their audiences, right? So we're going to go into depth on how do you find, engage, and really benefit and prosper from promotional partners. So that's a bonus as well when you join the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. And finally, if you do join the Author to Entrepreneur Experience, you can either credit what you've already paid for your All Access Pass if you've already bought one, or you get, of course, the All Access Pass included as a bonus, plus the entire Book Business and Brand Building Summit, which was my summit from last year. Many different speakers, some of them now have become so big that I couldn't even get them on this summit. You'll hear from Preston Smiles and Marisa Murgatroyd and many others that aren't featured on this year's summit. So it's like a vault, really, of 50 plus interviews that you get access to with the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. All of that is included if you join at the gold level, which is just $597. We've got a payment plan as well. So you can do that in, I think, 2 or 3 monthly payments of a smaller amount. And it's just super value packed, super rich. I'd love to continue the experience that we're starting here on the summit with you in the Author to Entrepreneur Experience from mid-June to mid-August. And all of those bonuses are included. We also have a platinum level that I want to tell you about quickly, which is, for people that want more one-on-one support. You get 2 one-on-one strategic consultations with me. So we'll get on the phone or Skype or video or whatever you want. And we talk about your book, your business, your brand, and do some real tactical planning. And for people that join at the platinum level, it's not just giving you strategies at that point, it's giving you solutions. So whether that's introductions, whether that's leveraging our team to help design your book cover or finalize a web page, what have you. This is the level where you actually get support from my team, as well as all of the training, the strategies, and the interactivity that's part of the program, but also the one-on-one support from me. I've also thrown in some other great bonuses. If you want to engage at the platinum level, you can use our team, our publishing team, to do one specific task for your book. And you'll see what those options are if you go down this path further, but it can be either cover design, interior layout, building a book sales page template, something tactical and tangible that you can leverage both my experience and our team to deploy for you and your book. That's part of the Author to Entrepreneur Experience at the platinum level. You also get 2 VIP tickets to Bestseller Summit Live. So bring a friend, a business partner, a co-author. All the meals will be taken care of. A lot of extra stuff for the VIPs at the summit, and a few other great bonuses as well. What else do we got? In the platinum, we have a private group mastermind. The people that join at the platinum level, if that's you, you're going to meet other high performers, very motivated people doing some incredible things, and we get to mastermind together so that you can build relationships to both promote your own book and to support others and to start to really develop and grow relationships with other people in the industry. My pleasure to bring you together in the Platinum Mastermind as part of the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. So all of that is available for $1,997 or 3 monthly payments of $747. So you can check all this out at authortoentrepreneurexperience.com. It's all there. I'm not going to beat you over the head with it all day on this presentation, but I will tell you and will remind you over the course of the summit that, this is a limited time opportunity. I mean, after the summit ends, I'm going to New York for Book Expo. We're closing enrollment for the Author to Entrepreneur Experience, and we're starting the process of group building and development and really supporting you. And it's a live experience. It's not like a pre-recorded thing. So we'll be developing the relationship real time, starting shortly after the summit and continuing on for the next months. All right, so that's the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. I encourage you to check it out. Pretty smoking deal. I've tried to over deliver, not only on this summit, not only on the all access pass for the summit and all the bonuses you get, but especially for the Author to Entrepreneur Experience, which is the only time I'm teaching an author training program this year. And quite honestly, I had sort of resisted the idea of this for a while. As some of you who have known me for a while may know, a couple of years ago, I had a author training program, and it was great. And a lot of people got fantastic results. But then the publishing side of business started to take off, and I really focused on publishing dozens of great books. And as I was doing that, I stopped focusing so much on the training. Now, a couple of years later, I've got a lot more experience, a lot more success stories to share, and a lot more authors that we've published. So that's why I'm excited to roll out this new training program, the Author to Entrepreneur Experience, and to teach it live, to make it interactive, to really just download comprehensively over a period of weeks and months, everything I've learned about publishing, promoting books, building thriving businesses, building an in-demand personal brand, and that's what we're going to be doing. So check out Author to Entrepreneur Experience, and let's just zoom back out. And I hope you enjoy Bestseller Summit Online. I hope you've learned a lot from this opening keynote. I hope this has been fun. I haven't been manning the chat because I'm presenting to you, but I'll jump back into the Facebook group and be interacting with all of you continually throughout the day and the week. A lot of great presentations today. Make sure to check them out and join us for our live panel at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be pretty special. So that's what I've got for you for now. Welcome to Bestseller Summit Online. Check out author-to-entrepreneurexperience.com. Watch all of the presentations today and join the live panel and interact in the group. If you're not in the Facebook group yet, check your email. You have a link to it there. And otherwise, just do a search on Facebook for Bestseller Summit Online, the group, request to join. I'll accept you immediately. And there you have it. So let's call Bestseller Summit Online officially kicked off. And I will see you soon. Welcome again. I'm excited for this event. I'm excited to have you here. And I hope you learn a ton. I hope it's a valuable experience and a great week for you. All right, see you soon. Bye for now.